Hello, hello. Good morning, everybody. Jamie here. It is Wednesday, July the 28th at 10 a.m. Central Time. I am here doing my normal weekly free teaching. So wherever you're watching me from, whether you're watching me on what am I saying this morning? YouTube. Just finished my coffee. My YouTube channel, Jamie Trull, or if you're watching me on my business page, or if you're watching me from my group, Financial Literacy for Women Business Owners. If you're not in it, come on over and join us. Why aren't you over there? Say hello. Tell me that you are here. I see people joining. Awesome. So hopefully you guys can hear me, but let me know. I feel like my camera is kind of weirdly off center today and it's throwing me off. Does anybody else feel like that? So I'm excited for today. Today, we're going to be talking about the top 3 mistakes with their finances that I see business owners make. Now, there are a lot of different things here. So I could probably do a whole series on this, and maybe I will at some point. And this isn't from a place, I really want to be careful to say this isn't from a place of shame. If you're doing any of these things, I want to make sure that you recognize that the important thing is to, recognize what you're doing and then make a plan of action to fix it. We don't do the shame thing here. I am not a tough love person. That's not my jam. I'm just a love person, you guys. I'm just a love person. And I really want to make sure that you guys don't leave this feeling like bad about yourself for things that you maybe have done in the past. I want you to be more excited about, okay, I'm going to make some changes, and here's the first step to making some of those changes, because I'm over the whole shame and blame and guilt game that we sometimes play. And I personally am a person that can get caught up in that too. So this isn't about shame. It's just pointing things out so that you can then make a plan to make some changes. So we're going to talk about the top 3 things, like I said, that mistakes that I see business owners make. And I could go a lot of different directions with this. I'm going to try to keep it a little bit general. I'm not going to be getting into like very specific things here. But I just want this to be a place where you can kind of self-reflect and say, okay, that's something that I do, or nope, that's not me, I'm good, right? And so that's kind of what this session is going to be about, a little bit of self-reflection. And I'd love to hear any of the stories that you guys have or that you want to share as well. Okay, so let's jump on in, shall we? So the very first of the 3 that I'm going to talk about today, the very first top mistake that I see business owners make with their finances specifically is winging it. What does winging it mean? Well, winging it means we're just we don't really know what we're doing. We're just kind of going along with it. We are, just kind of going with the flow, but we're not really putting a lot of effort into gaining the knowledge and the tools and the habits necessary to actually be really proficient in our finances. We're winging it. We're trying to get by, right? We're just like, it's been kind of working. Like, I don't know what I don't know, but I'm not, you're not necessarily seeking out that information to try to figure out what you could be doing better. So again, this is not a shame thing. It's just a real thing. I can't tell you how many business owners I talk to that just tell me, I feel like I'm just winging it. Like, I don't really know. I feel like I fell into this. Like, some people will even tell me they feel like an imposter, which is interesting because these are sometimes even people that have built significantly successful businesses that are making a good amount of money. I had a conversation with a business owner recently who had like 50 employees. She's doing millions of dollars in revenue. And she's like, I feel like I'm an imposter. I feel like I don't know what I'm doing. And I've just been kind of winging it with my finances and all of that since I started, and I've grown. And now you just have that, again, sometimes that'll turn into some guilt and some shame and all of those negative emotions. And it comes from this place of I hope nobody finds out that I don't really know what I'm doing. Right? So if you're hearing this, if you're like, oh, I've thought that before, you're not alone. That is one of those common things that I see out there, specifically when talking about business owners and finances. You might be like, you know what? I'm amazing at my business. Like, I love what I do. I created this business because I love it, but I actually have no idea. I'm a dog sitter. I've grown this pet sitting company. I have all these people that work for me, but I don't know what the heck I'm doing with my finances, right? I'm just kind of winging it. I'm just trying to get by. So I understand you if that is you. What the antidote is to the winging it is the knowledge, not just knowledge though. Because I think sometimes we think like, oh, maybe I'll just go binge a whole bunch of YouTube and figure it out. And then I'll have the knowledge and then I won't be winging it anymore, right? But we all know, we're smart enough to know that that's not always the case, right? We need the knowledge, and that knowledge needs to be distilled down, not into like the general knowledge that exists on the internet, because there's a million different things out there if you don't know what you're focusing on. You want that knowledge to be really, really streamlined and in a way that is easily digestible and actionable, right? That's what you really want, because we could all spend an entire week watching YouTube videos and come out not feeling any more prepared than we already were to begin with. So it's really, really critical to figure out, okay, how do I get the knowledge that I really need as a business owner? And then let's take it to the next step, right? The knowledge is important, but you also have to have the tools to back it up, the tools that are going to help you to really create the systems that you need for your finances. Right? So a lot of times we don't have those systems and tools. We're winging it with an Excel spreadsheet. We're, just kind of like trying to get by as best we can, but we don't really have a process for anything. And that's really, really important. So it's the knowledge, it's the tools, and then it's the habits, because you can have all the knowledge and the tools, but if you're not actually actioning it, if you're not actually doing anything at the end of the day, it doesn't really help. And so I'm an what do I call educrastinator? Anybody else? Is anybody else an educrastinator? And hopefully y'all can hear me, because I'm not seeing that many comments come through. So tell me you're here. So if you're an educrastinator like me, which is like, I'm just going to go learn all the things, but then you don't like actually cross the threshold into really actioning them in your business and really making them habits. Habits are things that are almost second nature to you, right? You do them because they, it's Monday, and that means for me, it's Money Monday, right? Like I'm spending some time looking at my finances because that is something that I've trained myself. It's a habit that I have. I don't have to will myself to do it. It's kind of like when when you've built in the habit of working out in your business, right? Not in your business, sorry, in your personal life. If you've built in, like, I get up and I work out, that's much easier than like giving yourself the choice. I found that when I gave myself the choice every morning, I always chose no. It wasn't until I spent time building the habit, and that sucked, because for a long time I had to commit to like, this is a habit that I'm going to build, right? I'm going to do this every morning. I'm going to wake up. I'm going to work out. But once you get past, they say it takes about 90 days or so. I think sometimes it depends on the habit for me. Sometimes I can do it shorter. Sometimes it's a little bit longer. But for sure, like I need to develop those habits. And once I do, it makes it so much easier. It's just part of what I do. It's part of a routine. You want these things to be part of a routine, and not something that you're continually like winging it and then scrambling, winging it and then scrambling, right? And I see Meg is also an educrastinator. I love education. I love to learn. So I think sometimes it is good to just like be constantly learning. But when you're doing that and you're not ever actioning anything, it's not going to get you anywhere, right? You need to have actionable things. So with that, let's see. Okay, so how do you identify? This is the best. I can't see who this is. I'm going to look, hit the StreamYard button above. You're watching me in the Facebook group, which is why it's doing this. If you give StreamYard permission to see your name, I will be able to see it. So the best thing, if you want to figure out what you need to learn, okay, hang on. We made this for this question, and you just teed it up so perfectly to me. I swear I did not plant you. Okay, so if you go to jamietrull.com/quiz, okay, we created a quiz that's basically what's your next step to a more profitable business, i.e. what are you missing out on? What's the thing that you need to focus in on? So there are 4 different outcomes that you can get depending on how you answer the questions. And that's going to tell you what you need to focus on learning or understanding or actioning first. Okay. That's going to be the thing that's keeping you from, really being able to be more profitable within your business, which is the goal. So I think that's really important for me to talk about too, is the goal of finances is not just, okay, I need to have my books together for tax purposes. And when we think about that, and I'm kind of jumping ahead a little bit to my number 3 on my list, but when we think about keeping up with finances as something that we do because we have to do taxes, we're forgetting the fact that the real reason, the most important reason that we want to be keeping up with our finances is that so we can look at them as the business owner, i.e. we're the CFO of our business. By the way, in case you didn't realize, unless you have hired a CFO, which most of you probably haven't, you are the CFO of your own business. You're the chief financial officer. You are making the financial decisions in your business, even if you have an accountant, which we'll get to here in a minute as well. If that is you, right, then you need to be focusing on it to make decisions in your business, right? To make decisions on what you do moving forward in your business. Not just about keeping receipts and making sure you get tax deductions. Obviously, that's important, but that is secondary to using your information, real-time information about your finances that you want to have, right, in order to make decisions for your business. What products and services are doing well? Which ones do you need to look at and maybe get rid of? What are your profit margins? Are you profitable on the things that you're selling, right? Are you valuing your time enough? There's so many different things. But it is so important to be knowing your numbers so that you can be more profitable. So understanding finances isn't just about taxes, isn't just about getting, keeping records. Like that is important. But those records need to be supporting something more than that, which is making financial decisions in your business, which is going to get me to number 2, which is the second biggest mistake that I see business owners make, right? Number 1 was winging it, just winging it. I don't really know what I'm doing, but like I'm getting by and I'm still in business. So I guess it's fine, right? A lot of opportunity cost there. Number 2 is relying fully on someone else. And this one is a controversial one perhaps, right? Because you will hear out there a million times over, and I'm not disputing some of this, but you will hear like, you just talk to your accountant, do what your accountant tells you. I 150% think that everybody should have an A-team, right? Bree Beers, my friend, came up with that, like the A-team of people around you, and that includes financial professionals. That'll include a CPA, that includes a bookkeeper, that includes a financial planner. You want to have kind of that A-team around you, and it is very, very important to have advisors that you can turn to when you have questions, when you need help with something, right? But, and here's where I get a little maybe controversial. Do not follow blindly the advice of professionals, including me, okay? And I try my best not to give advice, right? Because I'm a CPA, but I'm not your CPA, hashtag not your CPA. So this is not financial advice because I don't know your financial situation, right? But even someone who does, be careful blindly trusting. Trust, but verify, right? You need to have some base knowledge to know if what the heck your accountant is saying is accurate. The second most thing that I hear from business owners outside of like, I just feel like I'm winging it is they had a bad experience with an accountant or a bookkeeper. They got bad advice. They relied on them for something, or relied on them for reports even to be filed, or relied on them for advice that they were taking about entity structures or whatever else it is. And they got burned. And this happened even more. Man, did COVID pull back the curtain of not so great, service professionals, right? You maybe had a relationship with an accountant that you had because you were like, well, if I need help, they're there, and they weren't there. And they didn't know, or they give you bad advice, or they didn't give you any advice, or they didn't answer you, or you couldn't get hold of them. Holy heck. And this is not me attacking accounting professionals, because I will also say on the flip side of this, last year sucked. Like they were in the longest tax season of all time, and also trying to, the good ones anyway, trying to help their clients through, one of the most difficult times, probably the most difficult times that collectively that their clients had with new programs that they didn't know. So this is absolutely not, if you're an accountant watching me, I'm glad you're here. I have a huge actually following of accountants who come here to learn things, right? But this pulled back the curtain on a lot of people that, my accounting, I can't rely on that person to just tell me what to do with my finances. And let me remind you, it's not their business, right? Like, I'm not saying it's not their business, like it's not your business, because that's not what I mean. But like, it's not their business. They don't own the business. No one, absolutely no one is going to care about or know about your business as much as you do. It is your business for a reason, right? So why outsource important financial decisions to someone else? Those people should be around to help you make decisions, right? To help you, inform you. You need to make the decision, and you need to have at least a base foundational knowledge in order to be able to do that of your finances, right? That's one of the things. So I sell a program that actually we're opening soon, Financial Fitness Formula, which is my program that teaches people basically how to confidently step into the role of their own CFO in their business, right? To say, I can make these financial decisions. I'm confident in it. I know what I'm doing. I have a process. I know how to price profitably. I know how to manage my costs and my cash flow. I know how to forecast out what my business is going to do, right? All of these things. And one of the biggest objections I get to people joining that is, well, I have an accountant for that. Why do I need to take this course? I have an accountant for that. I'm like, good for you, but it's your business. It's your business. You need to hold that. Those decisions are yours to be made. They are not someone else's, and you do not want to follow someone else's advice blindly. And that was the great thing about COVID even, right? Like, so looking back, not that COVID was great, but one of the things that came out of COVID was this realization of people being like, I got to be accountable. I have to learn this myself. I need to have a base understanding of some of these programs around PPP loans and ERTC and all of these things that you maybe thought like I never would want to deal with again in your life, but you maybe realized, okay, I have to be somewhat knowledgeable in this in order to make sure that, the right things happen for my business and I can keep my business going. That was one of the things that helped people realize how much ownership they needed to take over their own finances. And that was something that I got a lot of pushback from other accounting professionals for the fact that I was explaining these programs in the way that I do, which is through Facebook Lives and YouTubes and this, free information sharing, right? And the reason that I got this pushback was because all the accountants, not all of them, a lot of accountants told me, well, people need to be consulting with their own accountants and financial advisors on these matters, not turning to the internet. And I agree that the general, like, Facebook is probably not the place that I would go. That the reason I created this group was because of the misinformation that exists on the internet and on Facebook. And I wanted a place where you could actually come and get, the right answer. Now, I can't answer all the questions anymore. It's just physically impossible with 36,000 of you in this group. But I know that there are other knowledgeable professionals and things like that can help. And this place is a place to sense check. Right? To sense check against what you're hearing from your accountant, what you're seeing in your own research, to come and have another place where you can kind of analyze. And not everybody, let's be honest, as much as I would love everybody to have an accountant that they trust, not everybody has an accountant and not everybody has an accountant that they trust. So it's really important for me to put this information out there so that business owners can take ownership as well and not blindly trust a service professional. And thank you. You guys are awesome. Sorry, I'm getting a little, I've missed the comment roll. I got a little preachy this morning. I had a pretty strong coffee this morning. So yeah, exactly. Right. Like many people will go through many professionals, and I'll give a shameless plug here for my preferred vendors who I love, jamietrull.com. Well, actually, it's kind of a weird link. So I'm going to have, you can go to jamietrull.com and go to my preferred vendors link. Or if Danielle or anybody on my team is watching, they can drop the preferred vendors link. But I have some amazing professionals. They're all women who I partner with to provide, I don't do services anymore. So they provide services. So I refer people out to these amazing vetted preferred vendors that I have. But it is hard to find someone. It is super duper hard to find someone. Let me see. So Jessica says, I can't tell you the number of times I've asked a question and on one of my boards, and the response has always been to ask your accountant. I don't have an accountant. So, right. And I think like in the very beginning, that's hard, right? Or when you're not like, eventually the goal, I do believe, is for everybody to have an accountant. But even when they do, a lot of times we have an accountant for tax time, and they're not necessarily somebody that we can just call up and ask a question to randomly. That's ideal. But that's not the reality for everyone, right? And so that's why I think it's really important also to be including that information and having a place where you can go and get information yourself. You guys are awesome. I love this. Yes, this is exactly. It helps you to be able to have an informed conversation with your accountant too, right? If you're like, hey, I heard this. And sometimes like maybe it's a misinterpretation or something. There have been a lot of people though that have caught things that their accountant didn't even know, right? Because they're paying attention and they're maybe like looking at things from their own perspective and catching things out there. And so especially when things are moving this fast, right? That can be really, really important to be able to have that sense check and be able to have an intelligent conversation with your accountant. So I will say again, like this, no, I don't want to knock accountants because I don't have service. I don't do one-to-one services anymore. So when COVID hit, I was able to make my business fully about sitting down and reading these bills and reading everything and having all of that, worked out for you guys. I had that luxury of that extra time because I didn't have clients to be serving. So I was ahead of a lot of accountants, but only because I had that extra time to spend to do that and to be able to transfer it to you guys in this way. But I'm really, really glad that it was helpful. I don't know. It does this sometimes. Sometimes we have to reconnect StreamYard. So just go hit it again. I don't know. It randomly Facebook will make an update and all of a sudden like everybody gets let go of. All right. Cool. Thank you guys. You were awesome. We got lots of people sharing the preferred vendors link. So thank you. And they're amazing. Okay. So that was number 2. So number 1, top 3 mistakes business owner make. Winging it. Right? Winging it. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm just getting by. It's worked so far, which also winging it became like when COVID hit, like the people who were winging it were like, oops. Right? Like that's when it came up. We're like, okay, I guess I can't really wing it anymore. When things are going okay, you can kind of wing it. But when things, start turning bad, it sort of exposes those weaknesses. Number 2, relying on someone else entirely. I don't mean don't have those people. You want to have those people, but don't blindly trust people. Make sure that you're also having a base knowledge and empowering yourself with that information. And number 3, which I alluded to as well, which is kind of similar to winging it. Sometimes this is what we do when we're winging it. We just ignore them. We ignore our finances in general. We're like, I'm just gonna like turn the other direction. And that, my friend, you are a ignorer. Here's how you know you're an ignorer. If tax time comes around and you're like, oh my God. Like, I don't have any idea what my receipts, you're looking through trying to gather all your receipts. You're just like tax time gives you like, even me mentioning tax time, you're like kind of breathing a little bit heavier, just thinking about it, probably because you've been putting things off, right? You've been putting it off. And even people who have bookkeepers do this, right? A lot of people will say like, well, I have a bookkeeper, so I'm not really putting it off. If you're not looking at your finances, right? If you're not actively looking at them, both in the past and also into the future, right? Doing forecasts and things like that to understand your cash flow, to understand what's coming in the future. If you're not regularly looking at that, and I mean regularly as in at least once a month, and doing like a deep dive into your numbers and understanding, okay, how much money did I make? How are my products doing? What do I need to do? This is something that we do in my CFO Accelerator program, which you can only get into after you've taken my signature financial fitness formula course. But in CFO Accelerator, we just had our quarterly strategy meeting where we sat down and looked through and did a diagnostic. Okay, let's pull up a P&L and look through how to read this. What is this saying about your business, right? How do I actually look at this and use it to make key decisions in my business that are going to help me make more money into the future, right? That are going to help me better control my cash and better predict what's coming. So that is so important, not just to like categorize your expenses and make sure things are organized. That's the base. That's the minimum you need to be doing. But the next level, which is, okay, now I need to be flipping and I need to actually be looking at this from the standpoint of the CFO, which I am, okay, which I am the CFO. If you don't have a CFO, you're the CFO. And I need to be thinking about what this is telling me about my business. And it takes some time and some refining to really like start to understand that and to let numbers mean something to you and make sense to you and help drive your decisions. It definitely takes practice to get to that point. It takes knowledge, it takes tools, and it takes practice and habits, right? Like that's what it takes to get to that point where you are really using that for the good of your business, for the growth and scalability of your business. And also not even just growing your business, but paying yourself more, allowing yourself to have more time back, creating margin, both profit margin and margin in time. I'm going off the rails today, but this is one of those topics that it's so often that I see people just ignoring it. Like they're just not doing anything with their finances on a regular basis. Yeah, absolutely, Meg. This is 100% one way that this shows up, right, is that you don't have enough money to pay your taxes at tax time for several years. If you don't have that money to pay your taxes, that is showing you that you're winging it, and maybe you're also ignoring them, right? You're maybe also ignoring them. And this is something like I go into a lot in Financial Fitness Formula, which is opening in just a little over a month. And it's only going to be open for 7 days. Enrollment for the next cohort for my next class of Financial Fitness Formula is only going to be open for 7 days. I only open it once to twice a year. So just FYI, this is a really good time going into the end of the year for anybody who's interested in really leaning into that CFO part. We actually talk about my profit planning, which is creating a profit plan that is personalized to you, right? That will help you save for taxes and pay yourself more, and a multitude of other things. But it basically is a plan that you can use and easily action in your business, among like all the rest of the amazing stuff that's in Financial Fitness Formula, which I do need to drop the link for, I suppose. Although if you take the quiz, it will lead you to, I do recommend the quiz is probably the first thing that you want to do. And then if it tells you that you're right for Financial Fitness Formula, because some people may not be at that point yet, but if you're right for Financial Fitness Formula, it's gonna tell you about Financial Fitness Formula, and it is going to, thanks, Crystal. It is going to point you to our wait list for FFF, which you do want to be on the wait list, because I will tell you guys, because you're here live, you get some extra perks for being on the wait list. You can still buy it if you're not on the wait list. You might miss it, but you get extra perks if you're on the wait list. So I want to make sure that everybody is aware of that, because we go into a lot of this stuff. Yes. And this is why it's a really good time too, to be focusing on finances. Because a lot of times we wait until like January, and then January is just busy in general. I just feel like as a mom, it's a busy month. Like it's post-Christmas, like we're stressed out, we're exhausted. It's like ugly weather. I don't know about you. Like, let's get this stuff going now so that you make it easier on yourself later. Give yourself that gift. Give yourself a gift for later, and say, you know what? It's July, right? Don't be like, that ship has sailed. I'll do it better next year. Some people already by July are in that place where they're like, we'll do a better job next year. No. Get yourself, you've got plenty of time. You got 5 more months of this year. Let's get your finances in order. Let's get it so that when you get to tax time, you're like, this is easy peasy. Somebody in my CFO accelerator, oh my gosh, I wish I had the quote now. She said she was giddy, literally giddy at tax time. I kid you not. That was her. She was like, this tax time was a breeze. I was like looking forward to it. I'm like, okay, that's even farther than me. I don't look forward to taxes. I don't mind them. I love this. I need to see your name. I need to go back. I'll come back and see your name. I'm glad. FFF is going to be super, super fun. I'm really excited. We're trying some new stuff this time around. And so I'm really excited for the next class that's going to be coming in. Yay. I'm so glad. Yay. Jody's excited too. Awesome. All right. I love this. Jessica said, I took the quiz, but some of the questions didn't have answers that got me. I like doing my taxes, right? Like, yeah, there was one, if you like doing your taxes, that's amazing. I don't even like doing my taxes, truth be told. Like, I don't mind doing taxes, but I don't even, and I'm a CPA, which is why I don't prepare tax returns. I still get that question on a daily basis of like, hey, can you do my tax return? No, I cannot. I don't even want to do mine. And I might actually outsource mine. It might be time. Well, you guys are awesome. So let's just do a quick recap. The 3 big mistakes that I see business owners making with their finance. And again, these are the big general mistakes that I see. And this is not a place of shame and blame or anything like that. This is a place of, okay, let's recognize that this is me. You just said something that spoke to me, and let's take action for it, right? So winging it, right? Like, I'm just you kind of feel like, hopefully nobody finds out that I don't really know what I'm doing. That one, you're not the only one. Number 2, relying fully on somebody else, right? You need to educate ourselves. We need to be educated in base knowledge enough. I'm not saying you need to know all the tax codes. You don't. You absolutely don't. So it's important to know what you need to know and focus on the things that really matter to you as a business owner. You don't have to go get a degree in accounting. You don't have to get an MBA, but you need to know the things you need to know to be able to have a useful conversation with your accountant. And remember the fact that you know your business and you love your business more than anybody else does. So don't put those important decisions in somebody else's hands. And number 3, ignoring your finances entirely, right? doing the end of the year shuffle, having that like panic attack when it comes tax time, just completely pretending like it doesn't exist until you can't anymore, right? So those are the 3. Thank you guys for being here. I'm on time, you guys. I'm on time today. Yay. Go take the quiz, jamietrull.com/quiz. It's the best place to start. It'll kind of tell you here's what your next step is. And it's personalized. So based on what you tell it, it's going to tell you here's what you can do next. And here's the thing that you specifically need to be focusing on, which may not be the same thing that everybody else needs to be focusing on. Okay, guys, y'all are amazing. I love you. This is my first of 2 presentations today. I have a whole like slide deck presentation later that I gotta go get ready for it. And I probably need a little bit more coffee for, although this kind of energized me a little bit. So I think I'm ready. So I'll talk to you guys next week. Bye.